I know it's a bad way of looking at it, but thank God we didn't get swept. Get to all that coming up next in this edition of Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This was not a fun weekend to be a Brewers fan. You had Cub fans invading our ballpark. The Brewers played terrible in the first two games. They did lose a game in the standings, but thank God they came back and won on Sunday. How you doing, everybody? Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Longtime sportscaster here in the state of Wisconsin, proud host of Locked On Brewers. This episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com and you get half off your first year. All right. Yeah, that's a bad way of looking at it, but the Cubs did catch the Brewers on a downslide right now. All right. I'm not making excuses for the Brewers, but the Brewers are on a downslide. There's guys who aren't hitting. They've got injuries in the outfield. They're trying to just piece this together through their pitching. And thank goodness that Freddie Peralta came through for them on Sunday. It didn't help at all that rubbing salt in the wounds this weekend. We're Cub fans invading our ballpark, coming after us on social media like they've won more than one World Series in 120 years. Right? Cub fans, man. They're in first place now. We'll talk about that coming up here in a little bit. Yeah, the way this thing was trending, the Cubs had so much momentum in this series. And I was worried. Yeah, I was worried that this thing was we were going to be sitting here tonight on a Sunday night talking about being 6 games out. It is such a huge swing from 4 to 6 games. I don't like being 4 games out, but 6 games, even though it's early, and I don't like using that term, it's early. I was talking to some guys on Saturday night at this banquet I was at, and I said, well, it's early yet. No, it's just never early. 6 games, no, you can't get swept. You cannot give the Cubs that early momentum. And they've already got enough momentum. They played a tough schedule and all that, and they came in here and they dominated the Brewers in the first 2 games of this series. Went out there Friday night, and that was terrible being out there, being down 9-0 in the second inning. I don't know why Alexander was starting that game. I don't know why he's ever allowed to pitch anything more than long relief. But that was not a good way to start that game, having a guy who's hanging on in Major League Baseball starting game 1 of a big series with you. Quinn Priester, who probably should be pitching in AAA, had initial success his first couple of outings, but I think we're wondering whether or not Quinn Priester should be in this roster and this rotation, but he's got to be out of necessity right now because the Brewers are trying to hold this thing together through Band-Aids right now, right? I mean, they are. They've got injuries. They've got guys who aren't hitting. The Cubs, again, caught these guys when they weren't hitting. They've got their heart of the order guy, Christian Yelich, who just has been brutal at the plate and terrible to watch. Got a hit on Sunday to break, an 0 for 19? But it's been painful. We'll talk more about Yelich in a bit. But this was not a fun series. When you had, I don't know what the percentage of Cub fans out there, but there were a lot of them. When they took an 8-0 lead on Friday night, that whole left side from first base behind the dugout all the way over, when they rose up, and it was like, man, Cub Nation is here. They're back. They're back taking over Wrigley. I thought we got rid of these guys for a while, but yeah, the Cubs are back. The council said last year in September that the Brewers were the kingpin of this division, and the Brewers and the Cubs needed to do something about it. They are. They came in and took 2 or 3. Like I said, thank goodness Freddie Peralta saved the day and gave them 6 strong. McGill got a little shaky in the 9th inning, but the Brewers got a win. Got a win. It would have been very discouraging being 6 games out. Now, Freddie is pitching unbelievably right now. And I know it's early, man. I'm not going to say, should he be the all-star game opener, or should he be in the opening? Should he even be in the All-Star? Yeah, it's too early for any of that stuff. Remember last year we talked about Ortiz making the All-Star game, and we got 2 months to go to that. And I don't even care about the All-Star game, to be honest with you. I don't care about these guys making these guys making the All-Star team only hurts the Brewers' bargaining power down the road, to be honest with you. That's the way I look at it these days. Because with the Brewers, it's all about dollars and cents anyway. These guys making the All-Star team. Yeah, they use that in negotiations with the Brewers. That only hurts their cause, the Brewers. And the Brewers can't afford to have anything anteed up against them. But Freddie has been great, man. I've said this all along. The 6 innings he gave them, the team had been struggling offensively. They were able to put a 4 spot on the board in the 6th inning, and that held up. Got help from Cameron, who came off the bench, and you could argue, should he be on the roster at this point? But he's got to be. Caleb Durbin with a big base hit, RBI in that inning. And the Brewers were able to squeeze out a victory 4-0 when offensively, all weekend, they haven't been able to get out of their way. And you could talk about the pitching on Friday night, and the pitching put them in an early hole, but they would have probably lost that game 1-0 anyway. It went scoreless. Back-to-back shutouts. They were shut out Thursday against the White Sox, Friday against the Cubs. Put 2 on the board Saturday, but we've seen this with the Brewers where they just go ice cold at the plate, and they had 1 inning where they showed a little electric on Sunday, but hopefully that carries over on to this series against the Astros. But it was not a fun year. Fun weekend to be out there. And as far as Cub fans in their takeover of an AmFam Field, and I feel like we do this every so often. What solutions could we do to keep these guys out of our ballpark? Well, dominating them is one way, and I know the Cubs have acted like a small market team over these years, and thank goodness they are not like the Yankees and the Cubs, and keep being that way. That's great. You know, they didn't go out and financially fix their third base spot. That's great. The Cubs, yes. People came at me and said I was not giving the Cubs enough credit offensively. Yes, they're a nice offensive team. You got that, Cub fans, and we don't like you being at our ballpark. We don't like you coming around. You spend your money here. You go to the casino. You buy all our food and all that. That's great. And now you can go back to Chicago. That's the way I feel about it. That's the way all us Brewer fans feel about it as well. You know, it is. We've seen enough of you guys around for 3 days. You know, hopefully you make it back to Chicago and just stay there for a while. And we don't need to see you. But I'm sure we'll see you at Door County, and we'll see you at Elkhart Lake and Wisconsin Dells and all our beautiful attractions we have here in Wisconsin that you guys love to come up here and infest. All right. But I don't know what we can do about the tickets. Fans are ticked off. I get DMs all the times. Why are Brewer fans selling their tickets? Why is this? You know what? You have no control over that. You have no control. We have nothing we can do. We've tried this for 20 years now, maybe more, of keeping the Cub fans out of our ballpark. It's up to the Brewers fans to hold on to their tickets. You can't keep these guys out. I mean, you can't keep these guys out. If they're going to come up here, they're going to come up here. Brewers fans need to step up and use their tickets if they want to go. If they want to sell them, that's up to them. Nothing we can do. Nothing we can do. It would be great if the Brewers became like the Green Bay Packers, where they were a ticket. You never hear of Green Bay fans selling their ticket to Bear fans. You never hear about Lambeau Field being infested with Bears fans. Well, you know what? Because the Packers have a long-standing championship history that the Milwaukee Brewers do not have. Okay? Brewers have never won a title. Yeah, the Cubs got one. But the Brewers have not had a lot of historic success, and we all know that. I know Brewers fans, we don't want to hear it, but let's face it, that's where we are. We got a handful of division titles, most of those in the last couple of years. All right, we come back. We'll talk about Christian Yelich. What are we going to do about Christian Yelich? I feel like we do this every so often. We get teased by him. I don't know. We'll get to that coming up next. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. And Monarch Money, man. us here in the Freeman household, we spend most of our, I laugh at it because Monarch Money tells us where our money is going. It was eating out and all that. We continue to do it. It's just a bad habit, because we don't go to the grocery store enough here. We get lazy. But Monarch Money, you need to follow Monarch Money because it's going to tell you exactly where you spend your money. It's your personal CFO. It tells us, we eat out too much, giving you full responsibility and control over your finances. It's just not a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. It's a great, great invention and a great way to track all your accounts, your investments and spending. You can stop managing your money and start building wealth. That's what we all want to do. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, and you'll get 50% off your first year. We've taken advantage of the offer, and it tells us exactly. Well, you don't spend it. You spend some on entertainment. You spend way too much going out to eat. You're not online shopping enough. All these things. It's going to tell you. MonarchMoney.com, 50% off your first year. MonarchMoney.com. Use that promo code LOCKEDONMLB, and you'll get 50% off your first year. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. By the way, thank you, everybody, making us the number one Brewers podcast on the internet. You get us on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your audio podcast. We're the number one Brewers podcast on the internet because you, great Brewer fans out there. And if you listen to the audio version on YouTube, we drop our 30-minute version each night. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode on Locked On Brewers. And our postcasts, we do those immediately after Brewer games, after every game. You want to catch that as well as a Brandon Scheide's got that after every game, about 15, 20-minute recap, and he does a great job doing that. So we'll continue to do that, and then we'll be on a little bit later on with Locked On Brewers. All right, what to do about Christian Yelich, man? Well, we're doing this again, and we have to, because Christian Yelich, he snapped a little bit of a slump that he was in. And if you read the article in the Journal Sentinel Online on Sunday morning, he's rid himself of the toe tap, and he's gone back to the leg kick that he had in 2018 when he won an MVP. Christian Yelich clearly is never going to return back to those MVP numbers. We know that. He's doing everything possible to get back to be a productive hitter. At least he's an easy out right now. You're batting 200. You're an easy out right now in the middle of the order. People want Yelich benched. It's never going to happen, but maybe move down to the order because he's destroying him in the middle of the order. Absolutely destroying them in the middle order. And I don't know how much longer they can do that. You got to drop them in the order. But who are you going to put in the 3-hole? You're losing outfielders every day. Sal Frelick, possibly another one, and we'll get to that coming up here a little bit. But it's so disappointing. That contract that the Brewers gave Yelich a few years ago, that's turning out to be it was a great contract at the time. They signed Yelich, and we all talked about the hometown discount, and it looked very small market friendly. Well, it's not when your guy's batting 213. We were hoping that the back surgery he had would correct, and we're 7 weeks into the season now, and every once in a while he'll show a sign of getting returned. That's the way he is. I mean, since he signed that contract, he's a streaky hitter. There'll be a couple of games we'll say, oh yeah, Christian Yelich, the old Christian Yelich back. I never thought it was the old Christian Yelich back. Anyway, last year, like a lot of people think, I think we're just being too optimistic. The old Christian Yelich is the one from 2018 and 2019. One of the best players in baseball, Christian Yelich. I didn't think last year, before he decided to get the surgery, that he was one of the better players in baseball. He's batting 315, and the power number is way low. It's just, this is, I think, we're going to have to live with for the rest of this contract for the next few years. And again, he's 33. He's on the downside of his career. On the other side of his career, the window of success for him was very, very short. And he's going to be one of these guys where I just think that we're going to have to live with it. There's not going to be anybody who's going to take that salary off our hands in the trade market. None of that. He's struggling, and this is what he is, I think. I don't think he's a 200 hitter, but he might be a 250 hitter. I hope I'm wrong on that, but I'm resigning myself to think that Christian Yelich, this is what we're going to see. We're going to see 0 for 20 streaks from time to time, and occasionally he's going to hit that 400-foot home run, and we're going to think, wow, he's back. He's going to have a 3-hit game. Kind of remind me of Robin Yount at the end of his career. Robin couldn't take it the other way. Yelich, I feel like when he goes with the ball in the opposite field, I think there's more. I think I like that Christian Yelich. I don't know if he does enough of that, but it's kind of reminding me of, and I'm not comparing him to Robin Yount at all, because Robin was a Hall of Famer, and I thought Yelich might have been on that path. Injuries might have depleted his career, but this is the same way Robin was toward the end of his career. But not even this good. Robin was not this good. I mean, Robin was not this bad. Yelich wasn't as good as Robin was at the end of his career. But Yelich got 200. I think he's better than that. I hope I'm right. All right. Sal Frelick. Man, left the game with what the team is calling knee discomfort. He's going to have an MRI done on Monday. Batting .297. Of course, we know he put the 25 pounds on in the offseason. Got himself stronger, and now he's got a little knee discomfort. I thought he'd have more home runs, but he's having a pretty good year. Having a good year. .297. Defensively have a good year as well. The numbers are falling, though, from what they once were. I don't expect them to be a 340 hitter. But Frelick, what is going to happen with this outfield if he's got to go on the injured list? Churio's already playing center. Yelich is the everyday DH. They had to use Cameron came in for Yelich, or came in for Frelick, and he had the big single. And we love that story of Cameron. Dad's Cameron coming in, and his dad is, played with the Brewers. I mean, it's a great story for us media, good feel-good story and all that. But I'm not sure Cameron's a major league ball player, borderline fringe. He's certainly not an everyday guy, but he's a guy we're probably going to have to go to as our everyday outfielder in the meantime. Mitchell on the injured list. Perkins, he's on that 60-day IL. We had hoped when he suffered that injury initially, he'd come back at the end of April, and here it is, still gone. Forcing us to use Ike Collins. We all love our 5'8" players. The Brewers just love their 5'8" 8-inch players. They do. And Ike Collins is doing all he can. They're patting him toward the top of the order sometimes. Thank God for him. Not a guy we counted on, but now Ike Collins is forced to become an everyday player on this team. We may have the shortest team in baseball. They have 3 guys in that lineup, like 5'8". Durbin, Frelick when he's healthy, and he has been, and Collins. So the Brewers are going to be really strapped. I mean, Jake Bauers, he's going to have to see some outfield time. Contreras played an inning of outfield on Thursday at the end of the game. Man, their outfield, which at the beginning of the season, we said, God, this outfield in spring training, there's so many things you could do with all these guys. Where are we going to find innings for all these guys? Well, then Mitchell got hurt. Perkins never came off the injured list. We'll see what happens with Frelick. Churio, who started the season in left field, the plan was for him to play left field most of the season. Now he's playing center field for the first time as a major leaguer, and I'm okay with that. It's fine out there. But Ike Collins, we didn't count on, and Ike Collins is now an integral part of this team. God, Sal Frelick, let's hope that injury checks out. That MRI he has on Monday morning, that it's all good, and maybe just some tendonitis or whatever. Brewers can't afford another outfielder on the injured list. They have had so many pitchers. The Brewers guys, like I said, they're holding this together with Band-Aids and tape and Scotch tape. They're doing whatever they can to hold this thing together and holding on for dear life to not fall further behind the Cubs and the Reds. Holding on. We knew it was going to be a tough season to win 93 games, and they had to do a lot of things right, and having all these injuries certainly doesn't help. Certainly doesn't help the Brewers weather through all this stuff. We'll come right back and look at this Astros series, which starts on Monday night at AmFam. We'll get to that next here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Hey, you know what? Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. I'm talking about all you independent businessmen out there. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, developing, design, and more. Experts ready to take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent. A lot of freelance talent out there, and employers out there and independent guys are finding their way through Upwork. Multiple industries, IT, AI, web development, marketing, whether you have need extra hands to help with a project for a long-term partner. Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. Finding the right talent, easy and fast hiring. Posting a job is free and simple, and within a day with multiple candidates to choose from. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. Go up there, Upwork, all you independent business guys. I'm talking to you guys out there. Upwork.com, post your job for free. Upwork, UPWORK.com. Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today with Upwork. Down the stretch we come here on Locked On Brewers. Pitching matchups for this series that starts Monday night. Tobias Myers for Milwaukee in Game 1. Chad Patrick in Game 2. Priester in Game 3. How about Myers getting an inning of work on Friday night? Murph said he just wanted to get him some work in after he had a 2-inning outing his previous start and was pulled early. Tobias Myers, hopefully the message was sent. Throw strikes. Don't mess around. Don't be walking guys in the opening innings. He makes his start. His first start since getting pulled on Monday night. And Romel Blanco will pitch. He's a guy who had a pretty good year last year, but he's struggling this year, trying to hold on to a spot in the rotation for the Astros. He's got a 5.08 earned run average. They just took 2 of 3 from the White Sox. Jake Myers had a big series, a big game on Sunday for the Astros. It was either Sunday or Monday. He drove in 7 runs for a game. But the White Sox, the Brewers, the Astros went in the Comiskey like the Brewers did and took 2 of 3. So Hayward Wisniewski goes on Tuesday for the Astros, Chad Patrick, and then Framber Valdez. Boy, he's always tough. Got to face it. We'll talk about these individual starts each of the next couple of nights. Priester goes on Friday after just an awful outing. Or he goes on Wednesday after an awful outing on Friday for Priester. So the Astros right around the 500 mark. You know, I feel like the Astros every year start slow and then they kind of get the train moving a little bit. And we'll see what kind of bounce back the Brewers have. Got to get the bats going. You know, they scored 4 runs and we're lucky that the pitching staff, led by Freddie Peralta, held things together on Sunday and the Brewers got a win. And they held down those Cubs at bats. The Cubs bats were just destroying them in the first 2 games of the series. Got to come back. Hopefully that the Frelick injury checks out. Got to get Yelich back on track again. I don't know what we're going to do, what more they can do there. But it was not a great weekend at AmFam Field. It wasn't. Too many Cub fans. The first 2 games, just terrible games. And then the bounce back on Sunday. They needed to win on Sunday and are 4 games out starting the week. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us again. Locked On Brewers. You get us on Google, Spotify, Apple. One more thing. Oh, you know what was my favorite part of the weekend? Bob Kozlowski returned and did the God Bless America in the 7th inning. He also works in fan relations. Bob is recovering from throat cancer. Had the treatment in the offseason, didn't return to work until this weekend. And he sang the national anthem, and I'm sure they are not the national anthem, God Bless America. And he's great. He's a great American, great family man, and trying to beat cancer. Great to see Bob Kozlowski out at the ballpark. Chatted with him a little bit on Friday night. Just always has time for all the fans. And terrific to see him belting out God Bless America on Sunday at the ballpark, and did the usual great job like he always did. All right, that's going to do it. Again, you find us on Google, Spotify, Apple, all the major downloads, all the platforms. And of course, our growing YouTube page. Search Locked On Brewers on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode. And of course, you follow me on Twitter, Chuck Freeman, Freimund. It's going to do it for Locked On Brewers. We'll talk to you all Monday night, everybody.